Here's why it's important that you buy tools and not toys when stepping up to the ArtistPro level. Playing music is fun. That's why we use the word play. That's why many of us were attracted to music in the first place. It's a fun thing to do. It's really easy to get caught up playing and not advancing, not having any kind of specific output, not even moving forward towards where you actually want to be professionally. You see a piece of gear and you lust after it. You may think, if I only had this piece of gear, I'd be doing X, Y, Z, or if I only had this piece of gear, it would take my production or my live set to a new level, only to realize that you didn't really need that piece of gear. Toys can be fun, but they could also lead to productive procrastination. The act of appearing busy, the act that you're feeling like you're working on your music, but you're really not being productive with it. You're not really producing anything with it. I don't just mean music, I mean producing something that's gonna actually move the needle for you. And sometimes it's important to know when to let go of tools that no longer serve a purpose for you. Let me give you an example. This is my new Yamaha NU1X hybrid piano. It's effectively an acoustic piano in terms of components, in terms of feel, real keys, real action, but it's still digital in that it triggers sounds by sensors and still allows me to plug this thing into computers and other things to get the sounds that I want. Now, the reason why I got this piano was because in the last year or two, I've really focused on playing the instrument that is the piano. However, I've been learning it using mostly MIDI controllers and just triggering sounds on laptops. And every time I would play a real piano, I would notice something very stark in that I would basically suck for the first 10 minutes or so because I'm just not used to playing on a real piano. I'm not used to playing with real keys and real action and whatnot. So I needed to find a solution where I could practice piano diligently enough in this kind of setting. As you can see, I live in an apartment without destroying my relationship with my neighbors. This tool here was a way for me to get better as a piano player, still record the kinds of sounds that I want in a very convenient and effective way. In fact, I'm gonna shoot another video later on that's gonna really break down why this thing is so special. Now, if you've ever known me, or anyone who's really known me from a musical standpoint has always known that I've always identified as a drummer. My first primary instrument was the drums. I joined bands, and if you knew me between the ages of like 16 to 24 or 5, you knew all I wanted to do was just be in a band and tour and be a drummer and kind of hide behind a wall of noise that is a loud drum set and even other musicians. Well, a lot has happened in my life from a creative level. My tastes have changed. I've grown as an adult, as a person. Even from a professional level, my ambitions have very much changed at this point. So when I told people that I was gonna sell my drums, yeah, all of them, to use that money to buy a piano, a lot of people looked at me like I was crazy. And for good reason. I've always identified with the instrument. But back to the whole idea of tools versus toys. Number one, those drum sets that I've had have always been kind of a form of identity for me, and I've learned to let that go. My gear, my instruments shouldn't really define me as a creator. They're a means to an end, like we just already talked about. But more importantly, my tools, those drums, became toys. I'd find myself only dabbling in them. I never even really produced with them. The music I was starting to make was leaning more towards, well, this thing, really. Piano, neoclassical kind of instruments, compositional stuff, cinematic-y kind of things. And frankly, there was just no room for a drum set. I need to accept the fact that I'm a piano player now. And it's even weird for me saying that because I've been a drummer all my life. I would probably identify myself as an intermediate player. So I needed actually an intermediate tool. Okay, this is not a full upright acoustic piano that I would have to microphone and get more advanced with that kind of things. This is a more intermediate tool, as I will show it in further videos. So I got rid of my toys, which was, you know, kind of a symbolic thing for me, to acquire a new tool that's gonna help me advance into the next stage of my career creatively and professionally. All right, so as you can see, I am in the middle of this process myself. I've been very guilty of having a lot of gear. and only knowing like 20–40% of like its real capabilities, just so I can get new toys. And I've learned in recent years to let go of things that aren't really serving me, but also to narrow down my setup so I can ensure that I know exactly what everything does and I know how to get the most out of everything. So I'll do other videos down the road of what my studio setup actually looks like. I'm actually very proud of what my studio setup looks like now, and I've never been in more of a flow creatively. I think number one, because I've reduced the amount of clutter and instruments that I have in a given studio, but also everything in there is very focused and is very purpose driven. Every instrument I have is there for a very, very specific reason. So I will make other videos down the road to show you guys what that looks like. But that's it. I wanted to make a quick video about how you can utilize your tools over toys and make sure that you spend your money wisely. I really hope you found this video useful. And if you want to see more, just comment below with what you want to see more of. Stick around. Catch you on the next one. See ya.